What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, We the Dreamers. I'm Kate, and today I'm excited to show you how I plan to pack for a trip in Notion, and specifically how I travel with just a carry-on bag. I've been a touring musician for most of my adult life, and so I have lived out of suitcases for many years, so I'm excited to take you through my process of how I plan what I'm gonna pack for a trip, and then how I pack all of that stuff into just a carry-on bag. I actually made a free packing list Notion template to go along with this video, so be sure to grab yours at the link in the description. And first of all, I am not a minimalist. You know this if you've been watching my channel for a while, especially if you saw my recent closet detox series. You've seen my closet. I definitely like a lot of clothes. If the airline would let me, I would bring a ton of stuff when I travel, but they don't. They don't let you bring a ton of stuff. In fact, a carry-on bag ends up getting filled up really, really quickly. So the number one reason why I like to plan my packing list in Notion is because it really helps me drill down on what I need to bring, on what I want to bring, on what's essential. And that way, when it comes time to putting it all in the bag, I have a list in front of me, I can check it off, and it's much less mysterious and vague than when I would just kind of bring my bag out, open my drawers, and start throwing stuff in. Okay, so first I'm gonna take you through my tips for traveling with just a carry-on bag, and then we're gonna go through the process of how I list out and plan to pack all of that stuff in Notion. So why travel with just a carry-on bag? It's pretty obvious. I mean, if you've ever flown before, you know that they make it a really, really big pain to check a bag. It usually costs extra money unless you have some sort of elite status on the airline. And the process of picking up your bag at baggage claim can definitely add some hassle to your trip, not to mention if you have a layover, or God forbid if you're going international and you have a layover, the chances of your checked bag getting lost definitely go up. And basically, it's just a million times easier to have everything that you're traveling with you in the cabin. Now, I was not always a devoted carry-on bag believer. My husband will be happy to tell you all about our first couple of years of dating when I would bring a gigantic stuffed checked bag full of way too much shit, all kinds of stuff that I didn't need. But honestly, I decided to make the change to carrying on after two of my good friends both had their checked baggage lost forever. Now, I've been really lucky. I've never had a checked bag be lost and never returned to me. But hearing two friends have that nightmare experience, that was enough for me to realize I need to figure out how to make a permanent change here. So the number one thing you want to do, obviously, is make sure that your carry-on bag complies with all the regulations, right? Make sure that it's going to fit in the sizer, because we all know that sometimes there's a gate agent who feels like being that stickler, and they're going to be like, can you please put your bag in that sizer? Because they're gonna challenge you and be like, is this bag gonna fit in the overhead compartment? And I'm sure they have to do that because people probably try to sneak on a ton of stuff. We've all seen those people with like 6 things hanging off of them at the gate, and you're like, honey, you can't bring all that stuff. So make sure you have one that's gonna fit in the sizer of the airline that you fly most often or in your region. Okay, so tip number one for traveling with just a carry-on is to use outfit formulas when you travel. So if you watch my closet detox series on this channel, you can check out the episode here that talks all about outfit formulas. This is basically like just a recipe for a type of outfit that you like to wear. So I'm currently packing for an upcoming Caribbean trip. So maybe one of my outfit formulas would be crop top plus midi skirt plus flat sandals plus light sweater. So those are 4 ingredients, and I might have 3 different crop tops and 2 different midi skirts and 2 different sandals and 2 different sweaters, and I can mix and match them in different ways. Outfit formulas are amazing for getting dressed just when you're at home or literally doing anything, but they are so crucial when you're traveling, especially traveling with a carry-on bag. I think the most important thing when you're traveling with just a carry-on is just the acceptance of the fact that you are not going to fit everything that you want to bring. It's not going to happen. It's absolutely impossible to fit everything that you want to bring into a carry-on, and so you are going to have to be super picky. And outfit formulas are going to give you perfect clarity on the exact pieces that you're going to need to create the outfits that you want to wear during this trip, and then all you have to do is figure out which of those pieces you want to bring with you. Once you have an idea of which outfit formulas you want to wear during this trip, write those down. Personally, when I'm planning my packing list in Notion, I'm going to put those outfit formulas that I plan to wear on this trip right at the top of the page, so that underneath, when I'm going through and I'm listing all the different pieces that I want to bring, I can refer back to those outfit formulas and be like, okay, that's right. It really just takes the guesswork out of it for you. The outfit formulas that you decide to wear for a particular trip are going to depend on a couple of obvious things, like the weather, right? So if I'm going to the Caribbean and it is like going to be 85 degrees in the Caribbean, I know that I'm gonna be wearing summery stuff, light layers. It's not gonna be a vibe of, wow, how am I gonna decide which leather jacket to bring? My outfit formulas are gonna be different for this trip than if I was traveling to France in the fall and it's gonna be 45 degrees. Another thing that's gonna inform your outfit formulas is what you're planning to do during your trip. If you're gonna be doing a bunch of walking, you're not gonna be bringing a bunch of high heels, or maybe you are, good for you if that's your vibe. But let's be honest, you're probably gonna be bringing flats and things that are really comfortable to walk in. If you're going somewhere where you're planning to hike a lot, those outfit formulas are gonna look different than if you're going somewhere where you have to get dressed up and it's like, you know, a business trip where you're having to wear things that have to be pressed. So just ask yourself, like, what am I planning to do on this trip? What's the weather gonna be like? What kind of activities am I doing? And what outfit formulas would suit those activities? Okay, so now you have your outfit formulas. You know what types of outfits you're going to be wearing on this trip. Now it's time to decide which items that fit those outfit formulas are gonna make the cut. So tip number 2 here is to resist the urge to bring more than one of anything bulky. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. So if I'm packing for this Caribbean trip and one of my outfit formulas is a crop top plus a midi skirt plus flat sandals, some of the midi skirts that I own are gonna be more bulky than others. Some of them have a lot of layers. Some of them are made of a thicker weight fabric. The same is true with crop tops. Some of them have puffy sleeves that are going to take up more space in the suitcase. So because I have this limited space at the carry-on, I can only bring one of those bulky midi skirts. The same thing is usually true for me with jeans. Unless you're going to be wearing a pair of jeans on the plane, which personally I usually find jeans way too uncomfortable to wear on a plane ride, especially if it's a long plane ride, I end up having to commit to one pair of jeans for the entire trip because jeans take up a lot of room. From a shoe standpoint, my number one rule is always to wear the bulkier pair of shoes on the plane. So for most trips, if I'm going somewhere where it's going to be on the colder side or where I have to dress up, I usually wear a pair of black boots on the plane, and that's my main go-to pair of shoes that's gonna go with everything else that I bring. If I'm going somewhere where it's going to be warm and it's going to be a summery vibe, I usually wear a pair of white sneakers. That would be a good walking shoe that would go with sundresses, and then I take my flat sandals and I toss those in my suitcase. I usually try to commit to 2 pairs of shoes only, and if I have to bring a third pair, they have to be flat and easy to just shove on top of everything else. And that brings me to tip number 3, which is to always wear the bulkiest items on the plane. If you're gonna bring a hat for the trip, always wear the hat on the plane. I don't know about you, but I have still struggled to find a sun hat that is truly a packable hat. I feel like they always get squished and ruined, no matter how packable they say they are. So for me, if I'm going somewhere where I know I'm going to want a sun hat, I'm gonna need sun protection, or I'm going to the beach, I always wear the hat on the plane. Even if it looks kind of silly with whatever I'm wearing, it doesn't matter. So you wear your bulkier pair of shoes on the plane, you wear a hat on the plane, and then you're definitely gonna wear your bulkiest jacket or sweater on the plane. Personally, I'm always cold on the plane, so to save space in my carry-on, I tend to wear 2 jackets on the plane. I'll wear whatever my warmer jacket is on top, and then I'll wear a lighter jacket underneath, and usually what I end up doing is taking off the warmer one and using that as a blanket during the flight. But this is just the easiest way for me to be able to bring 2 jacket layers instead of just one. Sometimes it's not the most convenient because it can get hot in the airport when you're running around, but in that case, I usually just drape one of the jackets over the handle of my carry-on while I'm walking through the airport, and then when it's time to board, I throw it on. They can't make you gate check something if you're wearing it, if it's a part of your outfit. Okay, tip number 4 is to only bring tech and accessories that you'll really use. So for things like jewelry, accessories like that, I tend to keep this super simple. Unless I'm like going to some event where it's like, I really need a standout piece of jewelry, for the most part, I'll just bring simple, classic pieces that go with everything else that I brought and call it a day. The same thing goes for a handbag. I usually bring something that's going to be easy to travel with, it's going to be small and light that I can wear as a crossbody, and I don't have to worry about lugging around if it's going to get really heavy. If you're somebody who likes to read and you don't mind reading on an e-reader, that's definitely the most efficient way to save space in your bag. Okay, on a similar note, tip number 5 is just to adjust your beauty routine or your grooming routine accordingly. At this point, none of us are strangers to the whole 3.1 ounces or 100 milliliters or whatever it is in the plastic baggie, the whole thing. We all know that we cannot bring a ton of liquids. We definitely cannot bring our 12-step skincare routine on our trip if we're carrying on. So my best tip here is just to play around and figure out the easiest way to pare down your routine. What is essential? What do you really feel like on an everyday basis you can't live without? It's really helped me to find like a foundation or a primer that also has sunscreen in it, or to find a sunscreen that's also a moisturizer. And I've also realized that unless I'm going away for like a month at a time, which usually I'm not, like I don't need to bring the things in my skincare routine that are exfoliating and that are, you know, kind of meant for specific purposes, the serums and the toners and stuff. Like, a week is not gonna make that big of a difference if I skip doing that stuff. And sometimes, honestly, my skin could use a break, I think, from all the products. So I have sort of a very bare bones, pared down skincare routine, makeup routine that I stick to for when I'm traveling with a carry-on. And whenever possible, I try to use products in my daily makeup and skincare routine from brands that make a travel version. Okay, so let's jump into my Notion and plan out our packing list for a trip. Okay, so here we are inside of my Notion, and this is the template. It's pretty simple. What I basically created is just one big hub for all of my packing lists. And the reason is because it's just a lot easier for me to copy and paste something if I am doing a road trip this summer that's going to be similar to the road trip that we did last summer. This way I can just literally like copy and paste, like, okay, I know it's going to be a road trip, so these are going to be the types of things that I'm going to need for, you know, this part of the trip. I think there's a lot of similarities between trips that we take, and so I just like to be able to have them all in one place. It's also helpful too because sometimes I like to be able to see, like, what did I pack for that trip? Like, what did I pack the last time that I went to Europe in the winter? Like, what sweaters ended up working? What did I bring? Like, do I want to bring that again? So this is sort of the basic outline that I like to use. Here is an example trip. It's a little toggle menu here, so you don't have to have it open all the time. And so here at the top is kind of what I was talking about, how I like to list out my outfit formulas. So just as an example, you know, if I'm going to use the formula of a crop top plus a midi skirt plus flat sandals, I would write that here, and then I would write the other outfit formulas that I'm planning to wear based on the activities I'm planning to do and the weather and all that good stuff on this trip. And then below that, right below that, I have my packing list. And so I just kind of went in the order of the types of clothing items that I tend to usually bring, but you can jump in here, duplicate this template, and save it to your own Notion, and then just you can turn this into, you know, anything. If you like always bring button-down shirts, like you can change that, like whatever you want to, you know, adapt it to whatever works best for you. But this is basically what I like to do. Based on the outfit formulas, I will go through and I will just write down different specific items that I know I want to bring that are going to fit these outfit formulas. And that way, when it comes time to actually put the stuff into my carry-on bag, there's no guesswork. I know exactly what I need to bring. It's all spelled out right here. Now, this does take some trial and error in order to figure out like how much stuff you can actually fit into your carry-on. Like when I first started using this system, I definitely overestimated how much stuff that I could bring. And so, you know, it will take a second to kind of get that figured out. But I also have a section here that I call backpack, but this is sort of like your hand luggage, right? So personally, when I travel with a carry-on bag, you know, a suitcase, a rollerboard, and then I carry a backpack, and that is my hand luggage. That's the thing that I shove under the seat in front of me on the plane. And I usually take my purse, like my little handbag purse, which, you know, is never any bigger than this. This is actually a pretty big like handbag for me. And I put that in the backpack. So I nest that in the backpack, and that whole thing stays with me under the seat in front of me, and the rollerboard goes up in the overhead compartment. So if this is helpful for you, you can use this. If not, you know, just change it to whatever works for you. I like to have that here because I like to plan what I'm going to put in my backpack as well. That's where I store my tech and my laptop and all that. Then I also have this section at the bottom, which is for the plane outfit, because as I mentioned before, I always like to wear the bulkiest things on the plane. And I also like to make sure that I'm just prepared for a long plane ride, because like flying on a plane is not like the most comfortable experience ever. So it's helpful sometimes to know exactly what you're going to bring. Personally, like my go-to plane outfit is usually some black leggings and, you know, like a long tank, and then over top of that I do like a long sleeve shirt. On top of that I usually will do like a light jacket or sweater. On top of that I will do like a warmer jacket, and then I usually will bring some sort of like scarf thing that, you know, I can use to as like an extra blanket, or something like sometimes you can put it behind your back if like the seat is really uncomfortable. That's usually my go-to outfit formula for a plane. But obviously everybody's different. Like I know people who, when they're traveling to like a warmer climate, want to dress like to be able to get off the plane and be like ready to roll and go, get drinks. So whatever it is you plan to wear on the plane, this is a great place to plan that out. And you can really just kind of go through and just list things out. And then the cool thing about Notion is you can check these off. So I'm going to show you my real-time packing list that I'm planning for this Caribbean cruise that I am playing some music on here coming up. And so this is my packing list as it stands right now. These are my outfit formulas that I'm planning to wear. I'm not, picking too many. I've got crop top, midi skirt, flat sandals, sundress, flat sandals, light sweater, and then I've got crop top, high-waisted shorts, and wedge sandals. So those are the only 3 outfit formulas I am planning to do on this trip. And so everything that you're going to see on this packing list is going to reflect those outfit formulas. So this is all kind of probably looking sort of random to you, but so here I've listed specific dresses that I'm planning to bring on this trip. And, there's like the brand is written, the color is written in some of these places, but it's just like, little references so that I know, okay, that's that Topshop dress that I like. And I've just listed them out. And I've done the same thing with, shorts, just I guess I included skirts under dresses instead of bottoms, but tops, lounge. I'll go so far as to plan which bathing suits am I going to bring, how many pairs of underwear am I going to bring, which bra am I bringing, because different ones work for different stuff, which shoes, and I'll usually list if I'm going to wear the thing on the plane, my Cezanne white sneakers, I'm going to wear those on the plane. So that is listed here as part of my packing list, but it's also going to be listed here under my plane outfit. And actually, do I have it here? No, I don't. Cezanne white sneakers. So that's my plan. I go through and list all the different makeup things I'm going to bring, all the different toiletries I'm going to bring, all the different tools that I'm going to bring, right? Just like a curling iron and a travel steamer. So then when it comes time for me to pack my suitcase, I can literally just go through here. And how satisfying is that? You can just check off the things that you bring as you put them in the suitcase. And it just really helps to get a visual, aside from just the satisfaction of checking off a to-do list, which is always wonderful. It really helps me to make sure that I bring all of the stuff that I want to bring on this trip, because even as somebody who has spent so much of my life traveling and who has packed my toiletry bag 8 million times, it's still so easy for me to forget something. Even if it's like rote memory at this point, it's so easy for me to leave something out. And I just really like having a checklist to go through in one place, especially where I can get this on my phone, through the Notion app. It's like really awesome. And then the cool thing is what you can do is like when it's time to take another trip, I usually like to keep one example trip here, just one blank template, so that I can just, okay, cool, it's time for me to go to, I have a gig in Paris this fall, so I am gonna just say, okay, cool, and now this is gonna be my Paris fall tour, and now I can start all over again. But the other cool thing is, if I just am like, what, I really am going to bring the exact same toiletries, you can just duplicate this and say, okay, cool, I'm going to just pull this filled out toiletries down here, right? And I'm going to say, oh shoot, I accidentally put it in here. I'm going to pull it down here, and then I'm just going to, delete this one. And now I have my go-to list. So you can really build this out for yourself, and you can make different sort of templates for yourself. So you can be like, you could say, okay, I'm going to have one just blank. I'm going to have one that's just, this is a true blank trip template. But then I'm going to say, fall example trip, or you could also say weekend example trip, just a weekend trip, you're just going out of town for a couple of days. And then maybe you say summer example trip, and you just have these different sort of templates that you can use where certain parts of it are going to be the same stuff. The checklist is going to be the same across the board because you know that on a summer trip, you always bring sunscreen, or you know that on a fall trip, you always bring your black tights, or whatever it is. You can really customize this to your needs, but this just helps me immensely. Like, the best thing is when I can kind of go back, and if I'm planning another trip, somewhere where it's warm, I can say, wow, what did I bring when I went to Aruba? What worked during that trip? And it's really helpful to just be able to refer back to what specific pieces you brought with you, because you can then kind of make some observations about, like, oh yeah, you know what? I actually really was so happy that I brought that. Or you can be like, man, I didn't wear that that Madewell dress at all during this trip. I feel like I was avoiding that for some reason. It really just helps to give you a sense of what works for you when you travel, and knowing what works for you just makes traveling that much easier every single time. So hopefully this template can be something that's really helpful for all of you when you're packing. It takes the guesswork out of packing your suitcase, and it makes it a lot easier to travel light and to put just the essentials into a carry-on bag. Don't forget to grab your free packing list Notion template at the link in the description, and let me know what your best tips are for traveling light, for traveling with a carry-on. I'm so curious if these tips were helpful for you, or sort of like what techniques you use when you're traveling. Love hearing your ideas. So thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe for more videos about living well in your home and your headspace, and I'll see you guys in the next video.